Giddy up, boys and girls. It is still early, but we're expecting a very crowded field in the 2024 Republican primary. Former South Carolina governor and Trump's UN ambassador Nikki Haley officially became Trump's first challenger today. Here is some of her announcement video.
Some people look at America and see vulnerability. The socialist left sees an opportunity to rewrite history. China and Russia are on the march. They all think we can be bullied, kicked around. You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Well, I have no idea what that means, so let's discuss with a couple of experts. Retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She also ran for Senate in Kentucky against Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. And Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former lieutenant governor of the state of Maryland. Mr. Steele, your reaction to Nikki Haley jumping into this race?
Well, it's been anticipated, and but it's interesting. It's not quite as much buzz as I thought there would be associated with it. I think there's some of the reporting has shown and really spoken to something I think is important. Nikki Haley does have an opportunity to create a lane. She has a very impressive record. She's served with competence and a degree of capability that I think a lot of people, not just in South Carolina, but around the country, appreciated. 25% of Democrats in recent polling, say they have a favorable view of her. The question is, how does she translate that? The moments that she had as governor of South Carolina, pushing back up against racism and segregationists, the Confederate flag. How does she take those moments and make that the foundation of a potential successful run for the presidency? I appreciate her comment and her line in the ad about, going after a bully, and it's better when you kick back in heels. But here's the deal. The words are nice and it sounds good on paper until the bully's right in front of you. And that's the test. How do you stand up to Donald Trump? Where do you put those heels to make him feel the pain of running against you? Because he's going to bring a hell of a lot of pain because you're running against him.
Bingo, Yahtzee, and amen. I don't even get it, Amy. She stands up to bullies, yes. Nikki Haley left the Trump administration, and after she left the Trump administration and said a few negative things about Donald Trump, then she penned a book praising him to the high heavens. So on what ground is she standing that she doesn't stand up to bullies? She doesn't stand up to them. She sits right next to them and bats her eyelashes.
Well, I think that's normal for, politicians these days, the contradiction that we're all sort of used to this. Look, Nikki Haley is the first candidate to jump in the race for vice president. And we know that a crowded field appears to help Trump. He's probably asking for more people to get in the race. That's how he got, in there the first time. I think that Nikki Haley, like former Vice President Pence, has to walk a fine line, though, because you're basically going up against somebody who, watch her announcement video. She doesn't really say his name, and she can't really talk about him. She doesn't want to tick him off too much because, she wants to be vice president potentially too. So that's a fine line. It'll be interesting to watch this.
Michael, how does the Trump voter feel about her? Because she has trashed him. She did quit on him.
She did, but she did it in a nice way. So, it's not as bad as some. But here's the rub. I mean, even Trump's pushback against her potential run 2 weeks or so ago wasn't really harsh. He didn't throw her a nasty nickname. He's not come at her at this early stage the way he's sort of setting up the shot across the bow of Governor DeSantis of Florida. So I think Amy's right. I think that there is this sort of, let me size you up to be my running mate. And if you walk that line very carefully, I'll give you some room on the right or the left of that line to stray. But if you stay within the parameters, we could have a conversation in about, 12 months about your joining the ticket. So I think there is that piece of Trump. He worked with her. He likes her. Yes, he's thrown some shade at him, but not the kind of shade that gets under Trump's skin. It's the kind of shade that sort of adds to the glow for him. You know, it riles up the right people at the right time. It doesn't go too deep under the skin, meaning it doesn't really hurt. And he's okay with that. It'll be interesting to see, though, if she decides to go after him, then what does he do? How does he look at her? Because he'll have other choices for VP. She will not be the only one riding that particular train in this race.
And you know Trump doesn't like mustaches, doesn't like bald heads, doesn't like overweight men. He likes to cast people for these roles, and she certainly fits the part. She isn't the only one threading a needle, though, Amy. Mike Pence, fighting this special counsel subpoena, is he doing it because he needs to not alienate Trump's base in case he runs?
Right. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, I think Mike Pence has zero path, zero chance to the presidency. But, you know, I would love to see Vice President Pence up on a debate stage against President Trump. That would be great entertainment. But I just feel like he has the same problem that he has to walk a line. He worked for Donald Trump. He's sort of in this wishy-washy area of, you know, is he against him? Is he for him? And he can't really tick him off that much because he has to deal at the end of the day. Look, and I think this about Nikki Haley. She's probably the best general election candidate the Republicans could put up, to be honest. But she and Vice President Pence have this problem is the mega base of the Republican Party are still very much attached to Donald Trump. And, you know, I don't know how they get over that.
Michael, we all keep hearing about Republicans in Congress that finally really do want to move past Trump. They're humiliated by George Santos. They're angered by Marjorie Taylor Greene, her ilk, the debt ceiling antics. Any chance anyone from sort of that Mitt Romney faction of the party is going to try and run?
So probably, maybe. It remains to be seen what Asa Hutchinson does, what Governor Sununu or Governor Hogan does. They have potential to sort of create that space. They're going to have to address the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the George Santoses of the party as much as they're going to have to address Donald Trump. And I think that's going to be the challenge for all of these Republican nominees. Particularly those who've never had to go through the gauntlet of the Washington press corps, presidential press corps in a presidential cycle. When, you know, every question is not about the policy that you want to promote or, you know, the latest quip that you've come up to show how cool you are with the voters, but they want to talk to you about. So George Santos said today, Marjorie Taylor Greene on the committee hearing last night said, and of course, Donald Trump. So how do they navigate that? They've got to put all that down, in my view. The party needs a leader who's prepared to come out and is prepared to risk that run for the presidency in order to win the presidency. And they're not, I don't think, ready to do that.
Then before we go, Amy, what are conservatives in Congress? What's their path 2024, right? It appears that they're just digging in and they're proud about the fact that they're going to get nothing done over the next 2 years. Do they think that's the path to victory? Because what Democrats are going to be able to do over the next 2 years is say, look at the massive stuff we passed in year 1 and 2, and in year 3 and 4, all that stuff's going to get implemented.
Well, I think Republicans are probably going to try to, talk about inflation, to talk about the economy, to blame everything under the sun, bad weather, blame it on Joe Biden. A balloon comes over the ocean, blame it on Joe Biden. I mean, that's what they're going to try to do. I think what Joe Biden has to do is number one, do what you just said, tout the accomplishments of the first 2 years when Democrats had all the power, because those accomplishments were significant for the everyday voter. And for our country, the CHIPS and Science Act, the infrastructure bill, those types of things are big things that were done. But number two, and maybe even more importantly, talk about chaos. Do you really want the chaos of the Trump administration back again? I mean, most people don't, even the Republicans don't.
Kevin McGrath, Kevin McCarthy got control of the House. The question will be, what did you do with it? Amy McGrath, Michael Steele, thank you both for being here tonight.